They say this is a big rich town.
I just come from the poorest parts. Man, I'm so excited. I had to bring the old intro back for Power, man. If you know me, this is where I started it. I started making my recaps on Power. And all I can say is the Power is back on. It's the best time of the year. This series seems like it's going to be good, led by Tariq. The end of Power the episodes 8 through 10 or 12, whatever it was, they didn't really do too good. Like they threw it together, but it looks like they were preparing for this. Whew. Shout out to the notification gang, man. Thanks for y'all for riding with me till we got here. If you're new to the channel, you want to be a part of that, hit your subscribe button, turn on your notifications. There's a lot of people in this that I'm gonna have to introduce and kind of give a little background to, but I'm still gonna try to keep that same pattern where I tell you guys what's going on and just keeping it moving and rolling. I'm not gonna try to make it too long where it's bearable for you guys to watch, but I also want you guys to know who these characters are and what I think about them. So let's jump right into it. This is Power, Book 2, Episode 1. Where else is it better to start than the courthouse for the trial of the death of Jamie St. Patrick, one ghost? So Tariq is running around. He has to get ready. He has an appointment today that he has to meet with somebody at the school. And he has to make it to the courthouse to see his mother's arraignment. When he gets there, he's meted by Tamika. You guys remember Tamika? She used to work with Sax and everybody over there trying to take down James. But at this point, she's representing Tasha. And what she's telling Tariq and his grandma is, well, we're going to go in there. We need Tasha to admit that she killed Ghost or Jamie so that she can get a manslaughter because she thought that Jamie was going to kill her and she'll just have 4 months, not 4 months, 4 years probation and she'll be out of jail. Now, Tariq shows up with some cash for bail money, but for a Capital One murder, you're not going to be any bail money that you can do, especially with the cash he had. But when they get into trial, Tamika's trying to tell the judge that, yeah, Tasha thought that Ghost was going to kill her, so she had to kill him first. But what the DA is saying, no, Tasha planned this out. You know what I'm saying? She had a driver, she had a gun, she knew what time Ghost was going to be there with no cameras. So the judge is listening to it like, all right, even though it may be manslaughter, this doesn't sound like that, and I can't just let her go free for a murder. So instead of going home, you know, you can go ahead and plead that it was manslaughter, but we're still gonna have to keep Tasha in jail. Now, Tasha, her and the prison guard, when she was leaving to go to court, was saying, if those people believe that you're telling the truth about killing your husband because you thought he was going to kill you, which I don't believe that. If you're found guilty, oh, you're coming back here. And as soon as Tasha left the court, that lady is the one that escorted her back to the cell because she knew Tasha was lying about that. Well, she thinks Tasha killed Ghost, but she's like, you're not going to be able to make the jury believe that you were battered and they're going to believe that you just killed him because you thought you wasn't going to die, which we all knew was BS from the get-go. Today's episode is a lot of Tariq running around. So he left the school, ran to the courthouse. Now he ran back to the school for the meeting with the dean because he's getting accepted. But when he gets there, he's a little late and they ask him about it. And he's like, I have family issues. And the lady is not trying to hear that. They're pretty much saying what we all know as African Americans, we need to show up on time. We need to be earlier than everybody else just so we can look like we actually want to be there when we want to be there just as equal as much as anybody else. But once Tariq gets there, he apologizes for it. He says he has a family problem going on. So they're pretty much talking and they're like, with everything going on in your family, are you sure you want to go to school like this quick right after it happened? Tariq is saying, yeah, it's actually going to clear my mind. Now, there's one stipulation about Tariq going here that he didn't know. So when he gets there, they tell him, you're going to have to keep your grade level up. But also what we're going to want you to do is we have a star basketball player coming. And all he does is play basketball. We're moving your room. You're going to be roommates with him now. And your job is to tutor him and make sure he passes all of his class. Not one of his class. They gave Tariq, the star basketball player, and told him he has to be his tutor for every single class, which we all know that's going to turn into, hey, Tariq, just do my work for me because I ain't got time for it. I got to go hoop or I'm just sitting around. We see this all the time. So Tariq's going to have a large task on his hand to keep his grades up. He has to try to graduate in 4 years to get all this money and take care of his family. And now he has to do 2 times the schoolwork. And it's going to be a tough one for Tariq, but he's going to have to figure this thing out one way or another. As Tariq is leaving to go meet his counselor, he meets a young lady, one of our new characters, Miss Loren. So she's talking to him, asking him, is he lost? And Tariq's pretty much like, yeah, you can tell. So he tells her, I need to go meet my counselor. And she's saying, oh, we all have that counselor. They both find out that they're both freshmen. And she's like, hey, you ever think about joining canonical studies? That's what the counselor actually teach. And Tariq is like, I didn't know anything about that. And she's like, yeah, you should join it. It'd be nice to see another black person in there. It's only like 4 of us. And Tariq's like, okay, that's cool. So now we have Loren in the mix. A new love interest, maybe of Tariq, or maybe a new partner in crime. We remember last year, Effie, he met her, and we all thought they were going to be a power couple, but that actually didn't work out. Effie ended up telling on him because Tariq would turn out to be the competition. Now Loren, she seems like a nice young lady that's only there for school. They end up getting each other's numbers, so we need to keep a close eye on Loren. She might be the new one for Tariq. While Tariq heads over to his counselor, I think he might, take the class because he sees a nice young lady in there. It's a very, very busy day for Tariq. He's running everywhere. He finally gets to Professor Milgram's room, and she's pretty much giving him the rundown of the school, telling, hey, as for us, as African Americans, it's not uncommon for us to struggle when we first get here. My mother actually went here, she struggled. But once you get past that, you're good. So she's talking to Tariq and pretty much giving him a rundown of what the school is about and what can he expect. So Tariq, he's sitting there and he's listening to her, but she's also opening up and telling Tariq, I know you have a lot going on with your family, but if you need to talk to me about anything, I'm here for you. So Tariq is like, I think my parents will want me to focus on school and not worry about what they have going on, because Tariq is the reason everything's going on, so he needs to focus on school to get his mom out. But he then mentions, I hear you teach a class, Canonical Studies, and I hear if I take that class, I can graduate in 3 years instead of 4. And she tells Tariq, yes, this is true, but this isn't an easy task. This is going to be a lot of work on top of all the regular work that we have here. This is going to be one of the top classes we have. And Tariq's saying, I think I need to, I need to focus on this and get this done. So she tells him, okay, we can do this, but you have to read this book. And the only way that you can be accepted to this class is you're pretty much going to have to give an open discussion about it in front of me and 2 of my peers and the guy above me. And Tariq is like, okay, I'm with that. Let me get the book. Let me put in the time to read this, because I'm trying to get out of here in 3 years so I can get this money and take care of my family. Tamika's telling Tasha, all right, listen, if you tell us the truth, I got you a deal. 4 years probation, criminal negligence. Like, you won't go to jail for anything else. You'll be on probation, but I need you to tell the truth. Because how this is going to work is we can go up there and say we accept this plea deal, but you have to tell the truth, because they can ask you any question. And if your whole story isn't airtight, then they can be on you. So Tasha, I need you to tell me who was there with you, because you tried to pin this on Quentin, and Quentin says you were meeting somebody at the club and you knew exactly what time James St. Patrick was going to be there. So who were you covering for? Because we know you didn't do this. And now they're trying to say, she's trying to say Dre did it, and they're like, no, we have facts that Dre didn't do it. So Tasha, she's covering, because we all know Tariq did it. And once this starts unfolding, Tasha, she's like, oh, I can't tell him Tariq. It's my job to protect him. She pretty much tells Tamika, you know what, you're fired. I can't have you coming. She doesn't say this to her, but she's pretty much saying, you're fired. I can't have you coming looking for my son and having me turn him in. I'm taking the time so he can go to school and live his life. Oh, man. So it's going to be a crazy season. She fired Tamika because Tamika knows, she's like, I'll help you out. I was after James, but I want to put him down and I want to get you out of here so we can put everything on James and we can keep our lives going and you can get out of jail. You just have to tell me the 100% truth, Tasha. And Tasha isn't going to say that Tariq killed James. Here we go again. Tariq ran from school. Now he ran to the courthouse. Now we can introduce into Mr. McQueen, played by Method Man. And when we see him in the courtroom, he's doing his thing. He's in there smooth, talking to the jury, telling them, look at my client. Look how well he's dressed. Does he need to steal anything? Turns out he gets his client off. Tariq sees this and he's like, all right, I need a new lawyer for my mom. This is the guy I want. He catches McQueen out in the lobby, and McQueen sees him. He's like, oh, no, kid, can't talk right now. I got to move. And Tariq's pretty much telling him, no, I'm looking to hire a lawyer to help my mother. And he's like, oh, you're the St. Patrick boy. Yeah, I'm not taking that case. One, your mom's guilty. Two, they got the smoking gun. She's going under. There's nothing I can do for her. So Tariq is like, listen to me. I just need help. She's innocent. She didn't do this. And McQueen is like, nah, there ain't nothing you can do because in order to get me, I need a $500,000 retaining fee. And Tariq is looking like, $500,000? Okay. I'm gonna try to figure that out. So Mr. McQueen is pretty much like, you get $500,000, then I might think about helping you. So Tariq has to gather up some money now to get Mr. McQueen to try to help defend his mom and get him out of there. We all know Tasha's innocent, so all they have to do is prove that Tasha didn't do it. So I don't know. McQueen might be able to get the job done. During a phone call with Tasha, Tariq is like, oh, you fired Tamika. Ma, I gotta try to make something happen. And who is that lady at the daycare that you used to work with? And it was Infinite. And Tariq finds the information for her and he actually beats her up at the club. Now he comes to her with an idea, pretty much saying, hey, you wanna make some extra money? And she's like, I told your mom the block is hot. And Tariq's like, look, my mom's in jail. I need to make some money. So Infinite's like, all right, look, we can do it. And I'll move your product for you like I was doing with your mom, but it's got to be your product. I'll move it, but you got to have all the product. I can't bring nothing to the table because the block is hot. Now, if I'm going to make some money on the side, all right, bet, let's get it. But I'm not going to be the one getting the product. So Tariq pretty much like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? I got your number and everything. I'm going to hit you up when I start making some moves because I really need help. I got to get my mom out of here. So we're going to see more of her. So now we starting to see how everything was taking place. She had her kid at Tasha's daycare last season, and we didn't think much about the daycare, but it was just setting up for Tariq to have another connect when book 2 came out. So okay, I see what Power did. They took it easy those last couple episodes, but it's all tying in to the new season, and I like that about that. A lot of people aren't noticing how everything's tying in, but they actually did a good job. It was slower production last year because we're finishing that, but we're going to start book 2 off very, very strong, and that's a good thing that they did. That's going to keep this series strong. It turns out Tariq goes back to his room. His old boy Braden is there from high school. And it turns out Braden's there like, yeah, man, everybody in my family goes to this school, man. Actually, we bought this deal saying we donated the auditorium to him. Now, Braden was the second-hand man for Tariq. Remember when they were moving work through the school, he told everybody, look, nobody talks directly to me. You got to go talk to Braden. So Braden's there, and Tariq's pretty much telling him, oh, okay, cool. It's somebody I know here. I might have some work coming. Let me, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to keep in touch with you. But I'm actually about to switch my rooms, and I have to go over with this guy, Ezekiel, the basketball player, and pretty much tutor him the whole time he's here. So we have a connection from last season with Tariq on campus. So we know a lot of work is going to be moved around. And then Weston also mentions Effie. You remember her, the one that set him up? He remembers her. And Tariq is like, do you still have her number? And he's like, I could probably get it for you. So Tariq's like, all right, because I'm going to definitely need that information. And it turns out Effie actually got accepted into Yale. So she's not too far from my boy Reek. Once he meets up with Effie, he's trying to get his product back. So he meets up with her, and she comes outside, and she pretty much tells him, like, hey, you know, sorry about everything that happened back then, but, you know, I'm young, starving, coming up. I got to make some money. And once you came on the block, Tariq, with all your product, I couldn't sell nothing. You were making all the money, so I had to set you up to get rid of you. But I actually did like you, I had feelings for you. So Tariq is saying, why should I believe that? You set me up. And she's saying, man, it was just business, nothing personal. I actually had feelings for you. So Tariq is like, all right, let me get that pack from you. She gives him the pack and she says, you're not going to pay me for it? And Tariq tells her straight up, look, it's nothing personal, it's just business. So he used her line on her and he took his pack. He had to get out of here. He got to make moves. He got to get some money. Effie, you set him up. But I think she's going to play a part. She might be his little connect for wherever she's going. He can outsource to her and things. We're going to see how this turns out between the two. Tariq finally shows up and he's getting ready to speak about the books in front of Miss Carrie, Jabari, and then Oliver. Now, there's a little backstory between Jabari and Carrie as we see here. They actually met in the hall and Carrie's trying to tell Jabari, I want you to meet this guy Tariq. But Jabari's pretty much like, I don't want to, like, that's not on our schedule. And she's saying, well, he's going through some things. We need to hear him out. He's a young black man. He sounds like he's ready to take it to the next level. And Jabari is like, all right, I'll listen to him, but I'm not really interested. And it turns out Jabari and Carrie, they actually used to be involved with each other. And he mentions to Carrie, like, I'm doing this, but like you said, there's no more us, as you like to say it. So once they actually get in there, they're listening to Tariq. He goes up there, but Tariq didn't finish the whole book. So for them, the white guy, Oliver, the head guy that accepts, he's the one that accepts. So Tariq has to pass in front of him. He tells Tariq, like, no, I need you to read the whole book. You didn't read the book. You wasting our time. So when they get in the hall, Carrie is trying to explain, give him a chance. He admitted that he didn't read it. And Jabari's like, even he has balls for getting up there and saying he didn't read it. So it looks like they're going to give Tariq another chance to try to make right what he once wronged. Tasha fired Tamika. Now she has a public defender. Now the DA's coming in talking about, you know what? That deal is scrapped. That little 4 years probation, Tasha, we know that you're lying. We know that you didn't shoot it. The person that shot James was between 5'11" and 6'1", and you weren't on the ladder. So the public defender is like, okay, well, if we know that Tasha didn't do it, how many years is she going to get? The DA starts listing off things like, unless Tasha tells us the truth, she has aiding and abetting, and she's getting 15 years. We're just going to give her 15 years because she's part of this murder, you know what I'm saying? An accessory to murder, pretty much, because we know Tasha didn't shoot her, but we know Tasha knows who did it. And unless she gives us who the shooter is, we got to give her 15 years. So Tasha's thinking like, man, what the 15 years from 4 years probation? It ain't looking bad. I mean, it ain't looking good for Tasha at this point. She going out bad. We see good old Saxe. Now, I was a fan of Saxe, even though he tried to put everything on Jamie. Once Saxe get into his office, he's the U.S. attorney now. And he comes in, and we have an old friend in there, and then we also have a new guy who's actually in charge of, like, the legal aspect of the Democratic Party. But once he gets in, he pretty much telling Saxe, like, we need to charge Tasha St. Patrick for all of this stuff. We don't need anything about Jamie coming out because he passed all of his cases and everything, so he's part of the Democratic Party. And when you're that high up, people are going to look out for you. So pretty much what they're saying is you're not going to do anything negative on James because of the Democratic Party and how we're looking over him. But what you will do is get his name out of this case, all the slander, and put a drug kingpin, well, queen pin in this case, on Tasha St. Patrick. And Saxe is like, what? I got to do this? Yeah, you got to charge Tasha with everything that Ghost did so we can close that up and you'll still look good because Saxe, everything we did for you to get you back into this job after you messed up everything, the first 5 seasons, 6 seasons, yeah, you owe us. So you're going to charge Tasha with the queen pin status. We finally get to meet Ezekiel, the hoop phenomenon that's going to college with Tariq. And he actually seemed pretty cool, but you could tell he's not about to do any work. So what he does is he's talking to Tariq and he's pretty much like, hey man, I'm from around Harlem and stuff. And Tariq's like, I've been out here a couple times. He's taking Tariq to a pretty much an acceptance party. Like he's in college, so everybody, his whole family is there. And Tariq's with him and everybody's showing Zeke love, Zeke out here balling, you know what I'm saying? We out here about to make big moves. We got his tutor with him. Everybody's showing love. So everything's looking good. As of right now, we just know Ezekiel, he's a basketball phenomenon, and he actually was real close with his cousins. They actually took him in, and they were more like brothers and sisters to him. So we're about to meet all of his cousins and a very, very special person. Zeke introduces Tariq into his cousin Diana. So when they meet Tariq and Diana, you can tell, okay, they both looking at each other. Okay, you look good, I look good. Okay, we look good. So they pretty much getting it on. So this might be another focal point for my boy Tariq too. Also, since he's gonna be around the family so much with tutoring, this is gonna be real good. Miss Diana. And while all this is going on, Tariq turns around and he sees a guy coming down the stairs, which turns out to be Diana's brother, Mr. Kane. And Tariq is like, I seen him in the bathroom with a girl getting it on. And when they turn around and look, Diana's like, yeah, that guy's probably the guy's girl. He's looking for her because my brother is a wild man. Let's go and meet Mr. Kane now. Now we get to meet Mr. Kane, the son, and then the lovely Miss Mary J playing Monet. And Kane, he had got into it with a dude because he had the girl in the bathroom, and he came back, was looking for his girl, and pretty much ended up getting whooped on. And Monet, she pretty much tells Kane, you know what you gotta do. He's gonna come back. You gotta handle that. So this family, we need to know the background behind them because it seems like they're a criminal family and they actually out here moving things and making things happen because people fear them. So while all this is happening on, Tariq is like, dang, man, this is crazy. And Diana's like, no, this is just a regular night with my family. Trust me. So tell me about school. So she's pretty much downplaying it because Zeke hasn't told Tariq whatever their family's dealing with. It's best Tariq doesn't know about it because they don't know what Tariq's actually been through. So it's going to be crazy how these two families come in together. Tariq with all of them because this guy Kane seems like he's going to have a temper and he might not be really feeling Tariq around the family. Just from how he's acting, he's a young, wild dude, man. Diana and Reek, they go into the living room and they're just talking, getting to know each other a little bit, and I can tell Tariq's feeling her and she's feeling him. So he asked about their family and we know Kane, there's another brother Dre, Zeke was brought in, the mom is Moedotj, and then the dad is Loren's. He's actually in jail and Tariq is asking for what? And Diana's like, what you think for? And Tariq's like, oh, okay, I understand. I got my mom behind the walls too for a murder. So they both have drugs. Well, I don't know if they got drugs in their family, but I'm sure they do because if Moedotj is so powerful where everybody's coming outside like fearing her, that means she must have took over for Lorenz while he's in jail. So they got some clout. Tariq's family used to have clout, but he's still about to do his thing in school. This is gonna be interesting how all this plays out. Sax runs to Tamika's house and tells her what I gotta do. I gotta do the queen pin status on Tasha, and I'm not trying to do this because we know it was James. And Tamika's like, look, I'm not representing her no more, but I can't tell you everything. And Sax like, man, Tamika, hear me out real quick. Let's say hypothetically someone's seen someone of power at the club that night. And then immediately Tamika's like, Sax, were you there? And he's like, no, this is just a hypothetical because Tariq's seen Sax there. And Tariq's always been saying, I can use you as the second shooter. And once that happens, then everyone's going to be on you and your alibi is not going to be able to line up. So Tamika's like, hey, you got to get out of my house. Don't tell me anything else because I don't want any parts of this. You messing up again, Sax. Get out of here. She's like, if I ever get subpoenaed, I'd have to testify. Sax is like, you really don't have to. And she's like, Sax, get out of my house. So Sax is deep in the mess again, man. We can expect this from Sax, and this is why I like him, because he's a regular guy, a regular screw-up, man. We're going to see a lot of screw-ups from him, and we've always seen screw-ups. So it's the same old Sax. Tariq ends up meeting with Loren, so he has a lot on his plate. Like, he had the crazy night with Zeke and them, and this morning Zeke was like, hey, bro, I got to get that Moby Dick book report done by the end of the week. Tariq's like, all right, I got you. So while all this is going on, Loren actually texts him like, hey, let's meet up for coffee. Tariq meets up with her, but it's not what he expected. She's pretty much saying, listen, they told me to talk to you because you're a young black man. I'm a young black woman. We got to do better, man. You didn't read that book. And Tariq's like, well, I didn't read it because my perspective on it is the guy killed somebody and no one liked him. So for Tariq, it was like, man, I read it, but this book is not supposed to be what they're expecting it to be. My perspective is no one liked him because he did what he needed to do, even though it was wrong in other people's eyes. So she's like, you pretty much got to explain this to them in their eyes because they really want your perspective of the book, Tariq. So Tariq's like, okay. Loren ends up going to the bathroom. Sax knocks on the window. Tariq goes outside. He's talking to Sax, and he's telling him what's happening with his mom. And Tariq's like, man, well, we got to figure something out, Sax. And just like I predicted, he threw, Sax, I seen you there that night at the club, man. So you need to get something together because if not, I'm using you as the second person. I'm going to tell my mom you were there and you fit the description of how tall the guy was. So good luck, Sax. It's on you to figure this out. I'm not dealing with that right now. I'm worried about my mom. Now Tariq comes up with a plan to get Mr. McQueen onto the case. What he does is he goes back to the room. He asks Zeke for his phone. You know how big social media is, and Zeke has a lot of followers, so he gets on there and he pretty much goes on Instagram Live and tells everybody, hey, my mom's on trial, and it's so amazing that Mr. McQueen actually accepted to do my mother's case out of love for the black community. So McQueen, his phone is blowing up like, hey, you took on this Tasha St. Patrick's case? And he's looking at it like, man, what the hell? So he calls Tariq like, man, you pulled, you know what I'm saying? You got me with this. Where we gonna meet? So they meet up. Tariq comes and brings him 50,000. So he's like, 50,000 cash? You really, you know what I'm saying? You really pulled me into this case, but all right, 50,000, you got you a week. You still owe me 450,000. So pretty much he threw it out there, and now the whole world's like, damn, McQueen took this case. He can't back out of it now. So he pretty much just drew McQueen in for the case without him even wanting to be a part of it because he thinks Tasha'S guilty. Now he got to take the case, and he got 50,000 cash. So another 450 does sound nice to, you know, get somebody on a case. The day of court finally comes with McQueen. So he's sitting there and he's telling Tasha, hey, you got to tell me the truth. Just like when we go to court tomorrow, you got to tell me the truth. And she's like, all right, I'll do it. And then he mentions, Tariq told me that he needs you to come home. He needs you to come home. So she's like, all right. So when they get into the court, this is where the chaos begins. Now, we know Sack has an agenda to get Tasha because he's been after Jamie, but he doesn't want to get Tasha. So while they're there, they're asking Tasha, who was the second shooter? She goes out and says Tommy Egan. Of all people, Tommy Egan. Come on, man. You gonna really turn your back on the guy that was trying to help your ass? You turned your back on Tommy. You killed this girl. Now you didn't. Oh, man. Here we go, man. So Tommy gonna be on the run. But with this, the DA's like, you know what? They said Tommy Egan, so we'll go ahead and drop all, you know, saying the plea agreement. So Mr. McQueen's like, no, we had an arraignment. Like, this is what we agreed on. The judge is like, Sachs, are you about to address all of us? And he was like, no, the DA will. So what they did was they dropped all the murder charges on Tasha. And right when this happened, they picked Tasha up for the queen pin status. Oh, wow. So she's getting arrested for being the queen pin of everything that was going on in Truth. She was above James St. Patrick. They're going to probably say she was Ghost. They always wanted to know who Ghost was. Now they're going to probably put Ghost on her as the queen pin. And that's how you end the first episode right there. Oh, my God. They got Tasha's ass now. And just so you guys know, Reek actually went and looked up Lorenzo, and he's in jail for life. Murder, gang. So he doesn't know what he's dealing with over there with Zeke's family and Diana and them. And we know for sure Monet's about to be on another level. There's a lot going on now. Tasha's going back to jail. Sax feels, I feel hurt because I did the wrong thing in there. McQueen is mad at Tariq, like, what didn't you tell me about your mom? Like, you got me doing all this stuff? Come on, man. And Tariq's telling him, look, you'll be the biggest lawyer in New York. If you can bring down the U.S. Attorney Office, get my mom off of this, then there's nothing you can do. You're the biggest criminal defense lawyer in New York City. And McQueen's like, you know what? You're right about that. We also see Kane and Monet, the guy they had gotten to it with, Kane wouldn't killed him. So now we know what this family is about. You know, that family is, oh man, they about to be crazy. But everything is looking good for this season, man. Very, very good. Hey, and that's the end of episode 1, book 2. Let me know down below what you think. Since this is just the first episode, I don't have any questions. Let's just have an open discussion in the chat. Hey, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, man, subscribe. We on the road to 5,000 subscribers. This is Power Book 2. Thanks for watching. I'm Moedotj.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.